Hello, beautiful people. It's Bonnie Gillespie, and you are tuned in for day 11 of our SMF May, Self-Management for Actors, month of May, SMFA, SMF May, 20 free trainings to celebrate 20 years of advice from Bonnie Gillespie. That is me. Thank you so much for tuning in for another day of badassery. Today is Logline Day, and I actually even just at the last minute decided to print out some goodness to kind of formalize this process a little bit, because the logline is something that, first of all, is entirely optional. You absolutely are not required to have a logline in order to run a creative career or to be a successful actor or other showbiz storyteller, or storyteller of any kind, like even if you're not in showbiz. You don't have to have a logline. A logline simplifies things. So, and let me hang on real quick. I'm not seeing comments coming in from anywhere, and it looks like Periscope is specifically stalled out according to the Restream interface here. Could y'all comment if you're seeing this live? I know Instagram Live, as I throw my hair over here, Instagram Live is up and running for a behind the scenes, but we're pushing through to YouTube and Facebook and Instagram through Restream, and I just want to make sure that we are where we're supposed to be. Laura reporting in from YouTube Live. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. So glad you're here. Let me wait a couple secs to see if YouTube's good, says Natalie. Okay, awesome. Facebook reporting in. Awesome. Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And so if Periscope is off for whatever reason, we will catch that up later. Hopefully we are still pushing through there, but good. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, and for those of you who are watching at Instagram Live, if you want to be able to participate in the comments during the live, please come on over to either the Facebook Live version or the YouTube version. It looks like the Periscope version through Twitter is not accepting comments right now for whatever reason, and so I don't know if the broadcast is also not going there. But, you know, hey, we're doing a lot. There's a lot of technology going on here. So, and of course, I keep comments open at the Facebook version forever, I guess. I mean, maybe at some point I could turn off the comments, but right now I've been going through every day and hitting every broadcast from SMF May to see if y'all have follow-up questions. And I've been finding questions that are in some cases, even on older videos, that are a little bit like they've been sitting there a couple days because I didn't realize people were commenting on some of the much older videos, and I'm going in and answering those questions too. So I'm happy to be able to show up and help you guys out with all of this good stuff. So let's talk log lines first with a quote from, I want to say Peter Guber said this. He's someone that I often reference, one of the big studio, brilliant folks out in the world of Hollywood for many, many years. And he's had quite a few different jobs in our industry for as long as I've been in it, certainly. And he says, if you can't tell it, you can't sell it. And I don't know if he made that up, but I attribute it to him because that's where I first heard it. But that, of course, is a fantastic saying, because if you can't tell it, you can't sell it. I got to be able to go into a meeting and pitch a concept. I got to be able to, if I'm a studio head, I got to be able to defend to my shareholders why it is that we've chosen this film as the franchise tentpole. Or I have to be able to explain why this is the one that's going to open huge, you know, holiday weekend, whatever. Those log lines are part of how we shorthand understanding between buyers. So your ability to have a log line as a creative is nothing but beneficial, unless it's a not great log line. If it's a sloppy, sure, this'll do, it doesn't really tell the story of who I am logline, you're actually better off not having one. So don't feel that you have to rush to get a logline figured out before it really resonates with you. For example, we're expanding my business right now. Part of what's going on with these 20 days of free training all throughout the month of May is I am loading a lot of free and fantastic self-management for actors information out into the world, because once we go into our live round of our 100-day program, first of all, my attention is completely on the live round. And of course, for those of you who are joining us, you already have your welcome kit. You've already started on your day one homework, and I'm super excited for all the goodness that we're going to share throughout the 100 days this summer. Additionally, every spare moment, I am working on this brand expansion and taking this business beyond working with actors and showbiz storytellers. And so part of that involves branching beyond my comfort zone, for one thing, but also explaining what it is that I do to a community that may not have ever heard my name. Like right now, it's pretty much impossible to be an actor and never have heard Bonnie Gillespie or self-management for actors, or at least some of the tools or phrases or things that are a part of our culture here in self-management for actors land. It would be tough for you to Google any question about acting and not land on something that I've created. So even if you're like, I don't actually know who Bonnie is, you've consumed my stuff. You have. Like, it's just fact. And of course, the fact that the book is also a textbook in colleges and universities all over the world, and sometimes even high school students are bumping into self-management for actors as a part of their actor training before they've even gone on to college. You know, it's in the world. We're now about to step into a place where Bonnie Gillespie means nothing, and the work that I do doesn't already have stuff behind it. Like there's not already meaning. So as an actor, you hear Bonnie Gillespie, you don't actually need a logline to figure, oh, right, she's going to give me some no bullshit data-backed ways to take back power in my creative journey, right? Okay, I didn't need a logline to tell you that, because you kind of already have that association just because of the body of work and 2 decades of this experience that we've shared. No matter where you are on your journey with this, you know that you can go back in time and take a look at my track record, my cred, it's all there. So for going into this new space, I'm feeling pressured to come up with the log line for what it is I'm about to be doing. And how do we explain to people who have no idea who I am what it is that I do. And so I'm finding myself in the exact position that many of you may be sitting in while you're watching this, which is I got to be able to explain to buyers who I am, what I do, how I solve problems for them and make their lives easier, and not use a whole lot of words to do so. Your logline becomes the thing that your agent says when your agent or manager picks up the phone and pitches you to casting. Your logline becomes the words that casting uses to explain why we're bringing you to callbacks. Your logline becomes the thing casting uses to pitch you to our buyers, to the director, to the showrunner, to the producers, to the money people. Your logline becomes how you are defended to everyone who needs to have some opinion on why you're the right choice for getting this job done. So your logline is a really important tool. Again, not required, so I don't want you to put pressure on yourself if it doesn't feel like it's coming, but it is something that once you have it, is a really good, efficient way of explaining who you are and what it is that you do and how you create value in the world of your buyers. And that efficient bit of conversation has massive benefits. So the current logline I use or have been using for almost a decade is living my dreams by helping others figure out how to live theirs. Now, let me explain this. First of all, I had already been at this more than a decade when that logline materialized. So when I tell you don't rush to get your logline figured out, please know I had been building an empire for more than a decade doing exactly this before I actually had a logline. And it's not because I didn't want one, it's because nothing ever really clicked. And so I had these long rambly ways of describing who it is that I am in the world and what it is that I do. And eventually you learn people busy. They got no time for long rambly explanations of who it is that you are and what it is that you do in the world. So I had this aha moment after reading Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. Oh my God, if you've not read it, please hit pause, go buy it on Amazon, come back, resume the watch so that it is on its way to you. Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art is a game changer, as is Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap. But y'all, if you've been following me for a minute, know I talk about both of those as like hand in hand things that you have to have experienced as a part of your creative career. In reading The War of Art, I had this aha moment of I need a way to get crystal clear on what it is that I do and how I do it. And so I want to deconstruct living my dreams by helping others figure out how to live theirs. So just let me deconstruct this for you, because at the time I was probably casting as much as I was writing and teaching and touring. This was before the big online explosion of our empire. So even though I had been teaching online courses and we had obviously downloadables and ways that you could interact with us online, we didn't have the big 100-day program with hundreds of members. We didn't have the Facebook group with 12,000 plus members. Like, I mean, the online world for us was a little smaller. I was doing in-person classes. I was touring around the world and teaching, like all of that very much was true, but the online element hadn't exploded like it has in the decade since. So my casting was definitely happening. My producing was starting to emerge. My writing for actors was very much the bulk of my business. And then the coaching was a part of it, and teaching in small groups as opposed to the big internet version, even though that was starting to emerge. And I was like, first off, I know that my logline has to be about how I'm living my dreams. And at first, it looks weird to use a logline that's about how I'm living my dreams, because how does that solve your problem? You don't care if I'm living my dreams. You don't give a shit. You don't care if I'm miserable doing what I do. You want to know, how does it serve me, lady on the internet? How does the thing that you do for a living help me? And why do you need my dollars? Whether it's a couple dollars for the book or a couple $100 for the course. Like, why, that's honestly by your brain. You don't care if I'm happy or living my dreams. I mean, I'm sure some of you do, and thank you, but that's not the point. But I knew I needed to lead off with the fact that I am living my dreams, because so much of what I teach in self-management for actors and in all the work that I'm doing beyond working with actors and showbiz creatives is about being in a place of joy for the journey that you are on. And so if I don't take ownership of the fact that I fucking love what I do, my logline is false. So I have to lead with that, because my being on purpose and loving what I do is a core value for me. And it therefore is a very important part of how I get my work done. Because if I'm not having fun doing it, I stop doing it. Like, I fire clients like a crazy person. Like, once somebody stops bringing me joy, I'm like, oh, honey, we are not going to keep working together. Here's your money back. I mean, and as a business person, you would say, that is crazy, Bonnie. Find a way to deal with people you don't like. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to deal with people I don't like? Ever. I don't have to. I don't have to. We have choices in life. So that for me was a very important part of my logline. The next is living my dreams by helping others figure out how to live theirs. Very important. I am not helping others figure out their dreams. That's not what that says. I'm not helping others live their dreams, because your execution got nothing to do with me. I can give you all the information and resources in the world. I can give you all the tools and even help you build the muscles to use those tools consistently. I cannot control whether you get your head in the right place to be able to live your dreams, because it's a mindset thing, and that's an inside job. So I can guide you toward that. I can get you up to speed with all the resources. But ultimately, I'm helping you figure out how to live your dreams. And that is true whether I'm writing for you, I'm coaching you, I'm casting your project or casting you in a project, or producing something with you. So it's a logline that works for all the things that a decade ago were a part of my business. So I'm deconstructing that for you so that you can really see the intentionality behind the words in it. And then it explains, okay, you're going to still have to do work. Like, you read my logline and go, oh, she's not going to hand me the secrets. She is going to help me figure out what my own road is going to look like. And that is going to be true no matter what we're working on, no matter what level. Okay, so same for you. Your logline needs to be intentional. The word choice is important. Like, this is where you actually have to become a bit of a copywriter. This is where, or hire someone. Certainly you can hire someone to write your your log line for you, your bio for you. We have fantastic people within the Ninja community that we recommend if you want to outsource this. But as all things self-management for actors go, I get nervous if you outsource too much, because the more you outsource, the more power you give away. And the whole point of self-management for actors and everything I teach, it's about empowerment and about how you can have the most, control's the wrong word, but the most agency, how you can have the most responsibility for your own joy. Honestly, that's what it's about. And that's true whether it's show business or anything else. Okay, so I want to break down some tools that I use to help actors or other showbiz creatives, and now even non-showbiz folks, figure out their logline. And so what I like to start with is just a simple worksheet, and we have this in the 100-day program, so those of you who are enrolled or who are planning to join us as a part of the 100 days in the live round, first of all, make sure that you go, oh, hang on, I got to put up the URL. I haven't done that yet. Go to the link in my bio over at Instagram, go to bonniegillespie.com/20 from anywhere on the web to make sure that you are up to speed with our schedule for these events, but also there's a link there to apply for the scholarships to our 100-day live round coming up here. We close registration on May 31st, so make sure, even if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get the scholarship or not, enroll so that you don't miss the deadline, because we can't get you in after that. And then if you win the scholarship, of course, we'll refund your money or give you a coaching with me one-on-one for an hour, which is, I think, valued at more than the enrollment for the course. So, we'll leave the option up to you, obviously. But I would encourage you to go ahead and get registered so that you don't miss out on the deadline. This particular day, Logline Day, in the 100-day program involves quite a few tools, but for the purpose of this free training, I pulled out just a couple of pages of one of the many resources I share in that day. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the steps that I want you to take as you're figuring out your logline. But first and foremost, I want you to promise me that you will not rush to get your logline figured out, that you will not stress about it not clicking yet. Because remember, I had been at this for a decade before my logline was oh my God, there it is. Okay. And as I am currently working on the new logline for the new space that we're about to enter, every time someone asks, well, so explain what this thing is that you're building. Like, what is this new direction that you're going in? I'm like, it doesn't have a logline yet. And I actually say that. I say it does not have a logline yet, because it doesn't. And so I don't need to feel rushed to come up with what that is, because I know that this process takes time. So you're going to start off by going through the interviewing your bookings work that I had you do as a part of Resume Feng Shui. And if you're not familiar with that, go back into the free training. The playlist is available at that same link in bio here at Instagram, everywhere else, bonniegillespie.com/20. Go there to see the link to the replays over at YouTube. We've got a whole playlist there. They're also, of course, at the Facebook fan page for Bonnie Gillespie. There's an entire playlist there that you can go through. Go to the one for resume. Go to the one for footage. And rewatch when I talk you through interviewing your bookings and inverted pyramid style formatting, because all of that's going to come into play here. You're going to actually brainstorm a list of like all the words that have been used in breakdowns for which you've been cast. Every role that you've ever played, unless that's a role that you never want to play again. If it was a passport credit or it was a tear jump experience that has nothing to do with your brand and your true north and where you actually want to be on this road, don't use it, because you're including it in a recipe. So it's very important to be intentional with what you put in it. So if it's an ingredient that's not serving you, throw it out. Just because you ever played it doesn't mean you ever have to play it again if it's not serving you. So keep that in mind. Okay, my bone broth is now cold. Cold bone broth is no bueno, in case you're wondering. Yeah, don't like that. Like, I seriously actively don't like that. It tastes different when it's cold. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how to make this list of all the characteristics, all the roles that you've played, the words that have been included in those breakdowns, and the ones that really give you that yes, that resonance for this is how I want to be cast. Like, this is a consistent value that all the characters I play have, or if you're a writer, that all my scripts have. Like, this is a part of my tone. This is a part of my storytelling story. Make that list and just keep going. And if you want to, at this point, involve words from your real life, I'm cool with that, but I would use a different color ink. Like when you're writing, use a different color pen so that you can distinguish which words are ones that are coming from breakdowns and which words are ones that are coming from your real life. And do things like take a look at your about me all over social media. So everywhere that you've been sharing a blurb about me, what have you been writing? What have you been saying? Really start to take a look at some of the words that keep popping up. And especially if you change your about me often, take a look at the kinds of things that you've said so that you can look at what stays no matter what. What's consistent about you no matter how you evolve or how your values shift over time. Because those are the kinds of things that are really going to be very telling. Next, I would go through, and this is an exercise I actually learned from Mark Atterbury, is to go through your old yearbooks and look at what people wrote about you. Look at what people said in their, like, I wrote, hi, Bonnie, have a great summer. Oh, my God, so such and such teacher was so crazy, right? But what a blast we had at prom, blah, 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 whatever. None of that crap, but the actual words about you. Oh, my God, you are so funny. Okay, I got a lot of, you are so funny, you are so smart, you are such a good friend. I got a lot of love your mom. Oh my God. I had like one of those moms that everybody fucking loved hanging out with. And so I got a lot of that in there, which is very interesting. And of course, intriguing for me as I move into this new direction with the business, because part of her influence is stirring itself in with the woo-woo stuff, which we can talk about later. But I also got a lot of, see you in Hollywood, see you on Broadway, see you in showbiz. And even though I wasn't like a big theater kid all throughout school, I was very much leaving class to go on a shoot. I was doing a professional acting career outside of school. So it was known that I was going to have a showbiz life of some sort. But I also took a look at the kinds of things that the teachers wrote, because of course there's a very different agenda from the students and your peers than the people who are like actually a couple decades older than you or whatever, and able to kind of like observe from a different perspective, like who you are and what sorts of things are a part of your character. So just make a list. And again, don't include anything that you wouldn't want to use in your logline. This is kind of like when you get your proofs back from your headshots. Please don't send them all to your agent if you've got 20 pictures in there that you would hate to use. Because sure as shit, your agent's going to pick one of the ones that you hate. So don't send it as an option if you would hate to be told you have to use it. So same here. Don't include words in this list that you would not want to use as a part of your logline. Duh. Seems like basic, but I, for some reason, have to remind people, don't give people options you don't want to have to say yes to. Because once you give people those options, they're going to say yes to them. So think that through. Okay, next. If I were to ask you a fun fact about you not related to the entertainment industry, which if you've worked with me, you know that this one's a big player in our life. Every time we have a class, every time we do any kind of introduce yourself to the group, we always end with, and a fun fact about you not related to the industry. This is incredibly important because we learn more about you and how we should actually cast you from things like this than from the more organized and strategized words that you may give us in a pitch. So that fun fact about you that's not related to the industry actually can be incredibly telling about who you are as a storyteller. So make a list of any fun facts that you can think of that aren't related to showbiz, that you're like, nobody would ever care about this. I care. I want you, for the purpose of this logline work, to brainstorm with me on that. Next, I want you to think about what if you were not an actor or not a screenwriter or not a showbiz storyteller, or creative entrepreneur, or whoever's watching this. If you were not doing what it is that you're doing, what would you be doing? What career would you choose? So this is that James Lipton quiz at the end of Inside the Actor Studio. What would you do if not this? And, I remember before Tim Ferriss existed in my life, it was Lynn Snowden who was my go-to for this. I would always answer that question with, I would do participatory journalism. Lynn Snowden had a huge influence on me when I was in my early 20s because she wrote a book called 9 Lives, and she did participatory journalism for almost a year, and she went and lived 9 different lives and basically 9 different careers to learn what it was to be each of those things. And I freaking loved what she learned about each of the jobs that she took. But more importantly, I loved the idea that someone could go and like be a guinea pig for all sorts of different lives. And that had a big impact on me very young. And then, of course, Tim Ferriss has gone on to become the, human guinea pig for all things. And I would say Morgan Spurlock is also in that territory. And all three of these people are key figures in the way I would list up what I would do if not this. Because what I would do is something that allows me to do all the things. Because I want to experience all sorts of things. And of course you can. And of course through being in showbiz, you can, because you can play all the roles, you can do all the things, you can have all the characters, you can write all the realities that you want. And so of course that's part of why that lines up for me. But I would be very curious what qualities you start to notice any jobs you come up with share. Like if I saw someone mentioning here, I get nurse, like Vanita said, nurse at a hospital who checks on a patient. Great. Nurse at a hospital who checks on a patient. Nurse at a hospital is a very different person than a nurse in private practice or at a shelter or at a clinic. Like that's a very different nurse at a hospital, very different job, right? And then who checks on a patient. Checks on a patient, not who assists during surgery, not who admins drug. It's checks on a patient. That is a very specific quality for that person, right? So if you would go through your what would I do if not an actor and go, I would do things that are fucking caretakey. Like, wow, look at that. That's incredibly telling. And if you wouldn't do things that are incredibly caretakey, we got to take a look at that disparity and see if that's where the log line lives. And if what we're doing is creating one log line for where you are and another one for where you're headed. And then you have to know when to change from one to the next. And that's, of course, a different strategy and something that we work on in the paid programs. So, which we'll be talking about that, I know. So the next one on here, what have been your favorite roles and which ones would you do again? Which is, of course, just getting really clear about making sure you've not included things in your recipe that you would not want used. And Holly, 9 Lives is an incredible book. I think it's out of print right now, but Keith was able to find a couple copies online a few years ago because I had a mentee through Right Girl, which is talk about an on-brand charity for me to be a part of. Like my philanthropy for sure is with Right Girl, which is where career writers go and teach young girls how to use writing as a form of expression rather than getting into gangs or hopefully not turning out to be pregnant by the time they're 12. In one environment, I went into schools where all the girls are 12, 13 and pregnant. And so they go to a special school. And I went in to teach them how to write through their concerns and their issues and their feelings and all the emotions and how they feel about their baby daddy who's in jail and all the different things that come up and all the hormones they're feeling. And I'm like, of course, this is a completely on brand thing for me to be a part of. And my main mentee throughout this, I felt would really benefit from reading 9 Lives, and we couldn't find my copy to give to her. And I was like, first of all, my copy is here somewhere because that book like meant everything to me. Second, we need multiple copies of this book because it's so good. And Keith was able to find some online. So good, look for it if you can. Lynn Snowden's the author. It's just a phenomenal read. But anyway, I digress. I want you to then make a list of the people who are on this True North Road. So you remember doing this from day one. If you don't, please go back to the day one video from SMF May, 20 days of free training. Watch that, sucker, because this is very important. There are people along this road, the people that are directing this film, the people who are your co-stars on this set, the writers of the scripts that you're speaking the words of all up here, right? And everybody that you're going to work with along this path, all those people, I want you to write them down. And then I want you to write down the breakdown for them. What is the character breakdown of a Steven Spielberg? What is the character breakdown of a Shonda Rhimes? What is the character breakdown of any writer, creator, director, showrunner? Like what is their brand? What is their log line? And the internet is really helpful with this because you can actually, go Google Joss Whedon and you're going to get log lines in the Google results because people will have summed him up in the metadata for the website that's promoting whatever article or interview there. And so the work has already been done. You just have to go through and filter what it is for you. And now you're going to go through and hit with a highlighter every word that is in each of these different lists that is the same, or that with thesaurus would have been similar. You're going to just go through, highlight, 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 highlight. Which words keep showing up? Which words keep showing up? Which words keep showing up? And if you're not happy with the words that you're getting, use visualthesaurus.com. And with that, you put in a word. Like if you get a lot of bitch and you don't want to play a bitch, first of all, get over it, because, wipe your tears with $100 bills. Somebody want to cast you to play bitch, get paid, right? First of all. But okay, if you're like, seriously, I don't want to get paid to be playing the bitch, fine. Put the word bitch in Visual Thesaurus, and it will then give you a visual explosion of other words that are related and that you could maybe consider instead. And then you click on the little dot on one of the words and it explodes into other words that are related and so on. And so you can play with how this data is coming at you and steer it towards something that's more helpful using these resources. But be sure you're being mindful about whether or not you're trying to run away from what the data is telling you, because I don't want you to use these tools to do that. So that part's very important. As you go through and hit with the highlighter all of this good information, you're going to start to see these patterns. And as these patterns emerge, you're going to have a first version of a sentence. It's going to be clunky as hell. It's not going to work. It's going to be about a character you've played. It's going to be about these people that you want to work with. And you're going to be like, it's kind of all over the place. Great. That is the messy middle. And when you're in the messy middle, you then start to test that in front of people. Just like we survey people about headshots and silent videos and demo reel footage and websites and anything else that we want information about, survey people about your logline. Have 5 different versions of a logline. Make sure you would be okay using any of them, because you don't want to put out in front of people stuff that you're like, oh, I hate this one. But if you hate it, but you think there's gold there, put it out there, not because you're going to have to use it if everybody votes for it, but because by them voting for it, you learn buyers understand something in this crappy logline. What is it that they're getting about that? And so in the survey, you also include a place for people to leave you notes. So anything I need to know. I always end every survey I conduct with anything else I need to know, because I want you to share with me anything you think I need to know about whatever it is that I'm surveying. And so, most people will leave that blank, or they'll write, you fucking rock. And I'm like, I know, but that's also very telling. If people fill out the anything else I need to know with you fucking rock, that's data. I mean, come on, right? So what kind of information might you be getting about the kinds of log lines that are coming across from you? Test then one out on social media. When I've now started, I don't know if anybody's noticed, I've started changing my log line out on the internet. I started doing this a few months ago. You may not have even noticed, but my log line still in the bond blast underneath my signature is living my dreams by helping others figure out how to live theirs. But that log line is going to go away, and that log line is going to evolve. And so I have been on social media spaces, specifically first in places where I connect with people as non-showbiz Bonnie. I have been using versions of this new log line there first, getting feedback, tweaking it, changing it, playing with something else at Twitter, playing with something else at Instagram, playing with something else across the top of my website. And I also know these are not the finished products. I know that right now I'm sitting in them to see how it feels, and I'm also getting feedback on what's out there in the world. So this is all stuff that I want y'all to play with, and I want you to see this as a long-term workout to come up with the thing that when you weave it into your cover letter, which we're going to be getting into cover letters this weekend as a part of the free training, so we can revisit some of this then, or as you work on your bio, which I believe is our next episode, also coming up toward the end of this Friday, I think. Yeah. We're going to talk about how to weave this stuff in so that you are actually planting the seeds for the words that your future agent, your future manager will use to describe you to their buyers, so that when you get pitched on a project I'm casting, your agent or manager uses on me words that I helped you create right here. It's so cool when that happens. But it's also incredibly cool no matter who's on the receiving end, because then we go, oh, I get you. Got it. And even if you're not the right answer for that part right now, I now get you because of that log line. that was used on me to describe you. And I know now where to file you in my brain. Then I experience you in person, and you either confirm that you are exactly what that log line told me you would be, and what that headshot told me you would be, and what your demo reel told me you would be, or you make me go, no, that doesn't quite line up. And then that's when we go back to the drawing board, because the tools continue to work every time we need to tweak the tools. And that is why I teach you how to tweak the tools all throughout your career, rather than just anointing you and handing you a log line. Yes, I could write your log line for you. I'm an excellent writer. I have 2 degrees in journalism, for fuck's sake. Do I want to write your log line? Nope. I barely want to write mine. It's hard. All right, you beautiful people. I gotta go. We ran just a little bit long again today, but this was a jam-packed session. I hope you rewatch, take more notes, come back into the comments over at the Facebook version of the replay, where I will circle back around and answer your questions later. But thank you so much for joining me. This is powerful stuff, so I hope you use this power for good. Till next time, thank you for joining me to celebrate these 20 days. Stay ninja. Bye!